Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection Game Day. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me as always, my co-host, Tate Mathews. We're going to span the WCS Sports Conference this week and last week and talk about games that are upcoming. Tate, let's start with none other than football, as we keep saying every week that this is the last football announcement. But the Van Jefferson Lottery is officially over. He finished out his recruiting process by going to, first decommitting from Georgia last week, and then going and taking a trip to Oklahoma, and then finishing up this past weekend at Ole Miss. And his official commitment came out yesterday that he is officially committing to the University of Mississippi.
Yep, and I think it's where he wanted to go the whole time. But, you know, it's got to be tough. You got Bob Stoops in your ear. You got Mark Richt in your ear, Hugh Freeze, and Jim McElwain from Florida trying to get in on it too. So congratulations to Van. Hey, anybody who's never walked in those shoes, it's easy to say what you would have done and not done. I'm just glad Van ended up where he wanted to go. He'll sign here in about a week, and great thing is we'll be able to watch him play for the next 4 years. He's going to have a great career. He is a good kid.
It's unfortunate in this process, especially of the exposure at a four-star All-American like he is, that he gets a lot of scrutiny for doing the things that he did. People don't understand the personal value that goes into these decision makings. You know, he has 4 years of his life that he has to dedicate to a particular program, and a lot of people don't take that in for granted.
That's right. And Mike Bobo, the offense coordinator, when he committed to Georgia, he moved on. So that's a big change. The guy that was going to be the play caller and the guy that recruited you left, and he might not have felt comfortable with the guy they got, the Schottenheimer. So who knows? Again, he's going to a good place. He's going to have a good career. He's a good kid, and he's going to be a very good representative of Williamson County Sports Conference in the SEC.
And another in the recruiting news, Deion Sanders from Centennial goes to Furman and ends up liking his visit. Commits to those guys. So we had college recruiters were all over the conference this past week. We had Colorado State, Mike Bobo, who officially took that job. They came in. Memphis was in town looking at some folks. Furman was here. Oklahoma, of course, came on call. Florida's entire staff. It's like the blood was in the water. The Sharks were circling,
right,
trying to nab these guys right at the last minute. So next week we'll try to give an in-depth look of who is signing where. It should be fun. Of course, we have Emmanuel Hall at Missouri, Corey Fantoni at Missouri. It'd be interesting to talk about those things, and we'll talk more about that next week. But moving on into the sports conference itself, the bowling state championship was this past week. Summit, the old Sparty, went up there as a team and competed as a team. Did a great job competing for the first time there in the bowling state championships. Camden Gutshaw of Summit placed sixth place, and the number one recruit in the country, Cameron Doyle, a junior from Brentwood, finished fourth.
Yep. Well represented, and Summit's having a great winter sports year. They're trying to catch up on those Director Cup points, but really neat. I don't know if you saw the article in the paper on Cameron Doyle, 2 regulation lanes in his house. I think those guys are amazing. I actually bowled yesterday. My hip hurt. I had to hobble up the steps. But seriously, I mean, what those guys do, averaging over 200, really neat. We got, just another example of how many just great young athletes we have in Williamson County.
Tate, you must be out of bowling shape, so we need to work on some things to get there. But
the elevator.
Absolutely, congratulations to both those groups. Brentwood right now, speaking of Directors Cup, is leading by a slight margin over Ravenwood right now in first and second place. All these sports, when we first devised this plan of incorporating a Directors Cup, it really had bowling, track and field, cross country, those sports in mind. We wanted those sports to be relevant. Come down the stretch at the end of the year, those sports are going to be so crucial to get that Directors Cup that's going to be awarded at the Wilcos this year.
Yeah, big deal, man. And like you said, especially when it comes down to those two, probably every sport is going to count.
Every sport. Now, moving on, wrestling. The Wrestling State Championship's coming up at the here in town at the Ag Pavilion. Starts the January the 30th. We have here it is again, Old Sparty, for the first time ever, punched their ticket into the Wrestling State Championships, and I look forward to seeing how they pan out. They had their best record ever, 29-2 is what they finished, and then the individuals after that, we'll have a host of individuals that will be participating in that. Excuse me, and we'll give you plenty in-depth action and let you know who all is going to be participating in that. So let's get into basketball. Basketball is coming down the home stretch. And I'm telling you right now, the way this is playing out, Tate, we are in store for probably the best girls and boys basketball tournament maybe ever in WCS Sports Conference history. It's tight, Anybody can win on any given night, and it's just looking fantastic.
Yeah, it is. Close races on both sides. Franklin picked off that upset of Brentwood late last week or early last week, which I know we're going to talk about. So that just goes to show we thought Brentwood was a clear front runner on the boys' side. Obviously, they're beatable, and Franklin proved that. And then, Summit and Independence getting better. The girls' side, I love what's going on with Ravenwood and Franklin. They're closing the gap. Brentwood, huge win. So you're right. I think we're going to have a good race.
Absolutely. Let's start on the Division II group first. Fairview coming in at 5-13, 4-6, beat Hickman County last week, then lost to Summit on Thursday, 24-39. Coach Wayne McGowan trying to get himself positioned in that district tournament as we come down the stretch. It's a big district. There are 9 teams in that district right now. They're sitting in 6th. Camden's in first place. Creekwood in 2nd. Lewis in 3rd. Stewart County in 4th. East Hickman 5th. Fairview 6th. Hickman County 7th. Waverly 8th. Montgomery Central 9th. It seems like it never ends there, but that's a big tournament there. Trying to get themselves positioned in the first round of the district tournament.
That's right. Good win over Hickman. The great thing is the girls' side of that district is not as loaded as the boys' side is. So they can compete in that district. They're one place in the standings ahead of Hickman. That was a game they should have won, and they did, so that's good. They need to try to pick off somebody else in the later season, move up one more spot or two in the district tournament seedings, and they'll have a chance to be successful.
Lady Patriots of Page right now sitting at 3-15. Coach Billy Mooney's still looking for his first district win. They lost to Giles County and Spring Hill this past week. Sitting right now in first place is CPA. Obviously on the girls' side, they're undefeated. Giles County in 2nd, Spring Hill in 3rd, Cascade in 4th, Marshall County in 5th, and Page bringing up the rear there in 6th. Once again, similar situations. Billy Mooney's trying to get himself in position for the tournament to try to knock off somebody.
That's right, and they're so young right now. We knew this was going to happen with the Lady Patriots. The 3 years ago and then 2 years ago, he was a senior-heavy team. They had been building towards that, and what the most successful year in Lady Patriot history. All those girls graduated the next 2 years. We knew this was going to happen. This is a building process. He's doing the right stuff. They're playing hard. So just finish the season strong, get into the district tournament, maybe pick off somebody.
Well, into the Big Six. Brentwood right now. Coach Siggenthal is feeling really good right now by picking off a huge win. Big win over Dixon, 49-42. Dixon up until that point was undefeated. Now Brentwood Lady Bruins, Dixon Cougars sitting right now tied for first place. Over there, they go into a kind of a special scheduled game on Saturday playing Brentwood Academy at Allen Arena. Lost 31-43. Probably not so much on his radar as worried about the loss. Now, for bragging rights, you want to win that game, but the Dixon County win, big win for Coach Sig.
That was huge. They evened the series. Lee Carter, the standout for Dixon County. We didn't know if they could contain her or not. Hey, she was really a non-factor in the game. I mean, of course, she played well and was a part of it, but they limited her touches. Defensively, they shut her down. 3 players, and I'm sorry the third name escapes my memory, but Abby Sheely, Jenny Roy, and one more all scored 10 points for the Lady Bruins. He wanted to spread the ball around. He did.
I believe it was Jesse Boozer probably.
Jesse Boozer, that's right. All 3 of them scored 10.
And Lady Bruins, those 3 are pretty much, the whole game is predicated on them every single night. Of course, Jenny's going to bring her intangibles to the game. She's a great rebounder, great defender, and I know that Coach Sig's happy to have her, the Brentwood commitment there. Signee, Jenny Roy, and, they need a little help. And I'm not so sure they won't get it yet because Dixon escaped a win the other night, or a loss rather, escaped a loss from Franklin, and I'm not so sure that coming down the stretch that they may have peaked a little early. They're a great team, don't get me wrong, but right now we have a lot of teams closing in the gap. Centennial 6-11, 0-9. Coach Hill still looking for his first win there. Lost 31-69 at Franklin. They play Ravenwood Tuesday. Not sure that his district record is going to improve, but I know that Coach Hill's doing a good job of setting the culture there and trying to get things on the up and up.
That's right. Remember, 6 wins in that program. That's a lot of wins. That's probably the most wins they've had in a long time, maybe ever. So he's doing a great job. He's building the thing right. He's closing the gap. I'm hoping, they played Franklin a little closer last time. This one wasn't as close, but I think it's because Coach Goodwin's got the Lady Rebels playing really well. So he's doing the right stuff. He's building. Go in there and be competitive against Ravenwood, and let's get close to tournament time.
That's all he can ask for. And speaking of Coach Goodwin, the Lady Rebels of Franklin right now sitting at 10-12 overall, 4-5 in the district. Of course, they did beat Centennial 69-31, and then they beat Hillsboro 51-19, who predominantly always an athletic team. Not the best basketball on the girls' side, but always athletic. Good win. Anytime you can get a win, that's a good win for them. They're looking at playing Sycamore, another non-conference opponent this week, as well as the Battle of the Good Ones Part 2, which could play very big on the implications and the seedings of the tournament.
Big week for the Lady Rebels. She's got them playing very good basketball.
I think so. I think Coach Goodwin right now probably could be arguably lead candidate for Coach of the Year right now with things with Mariska Harris. You know, nothing against Coach Sig. That's year in and year out.
Right.
But with those two coming in with the programs the way they were, doing a fantastic job. Coach White at Indy right now sitting at 4-19, 1-7 in the district. They lost to Ravenwood 22-46 and lost a big one out there when we had game day at Summit, 33-39 in overtime there in the border battle. I'm going to start dubbing that the border battle. Battle of the South down there between Indy and Summit. 33-39 loss there. Once again, she's kind of in that same boat as Fairview and Page. Get yourself in position to try to get your team playing the best they can at tournament time and see what happens.
They're just having a hard time manufacturing points, but they're playing hard.
Playing hard, and once again, they're 1-7 in the district. Ravenwood, Mariska Harris. We cannot talk enough about the job that Mariska Harris has done for the Lady Raptors out there. 16-5 overall, 6-2 in the district. They beat Indy 46-22, had a great win as well, non-conference there over the weekend against Nashville Christian, 52-31. They're going to be playing at Centennial this Tuesday and then getting set for the Battle of the Woods Part 2 Friday.
Yeah, and Brentwood's got to be a favorite. First of all, you can't overlook Centennial. You got to come in and play well Tuesday night. But then Battle of the Woods Part 2, Brentwood's definitely the favorite, but I think you think so too. I mean, they played them close last year. I would not count them out of that. I mean, I think she's going to come ready to play. Not saying I'm picking it yet, but I don't think an upset's anything to be surprised about.
It's not an upset to me. I'm telling you right now, pump the brakes on all this because I'm telling you, they're going to come into Brentwood and they know the implications of this game. And I really think, I don't care if either one of them have a win at this point in time. When you play Battle of the Woods, you can throw everything out the door. This is going to be one heck of a battle. It's going to come down to possession. Could be an overtime game, tight. The atmosphere is going to be unreal. Game day is going to be there. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better scenario there. I'd be very interested to see how this game comes out.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Real fun.
Lady Spartans at Summit right now. I'm going to tell you, Josh Goodwin, another top coach in our district right now, has done a phenomenal job with them. 9-13, 3-5 right now. Beat Fairview 39-24, then turn around and beat Indy at their huge crowd on Friday. They play at Dixon at Franklin. I would not. Don't sell them too short too. Lady Spartans are playing pretty good right now.
That's right. Playing good defense. You know they're not going to put 50 points on the board on a night against a good team, but they're playing really good defense. The Summit game, looking at this season, the Summit game were two games they were going to have to win to have as good of a season as they wanted to do, and overtime win, 1 point win, the one on January the 2nd. So toughed it out. 2 good wins they needed to get, and in years past, those are wins they probably don't get. That's a good indicator of where he has that program.
And he's got the girls playing really good right now down there. And we have a conversation with Coach Goodwin the other day. We had a saying: first 1 to 40 always wins. Well, his last 2 games he scored 39. If he'll make sure to get over that 40 point, it's automatic if you get that win. But 39-33 over Indy. Great atmosphere down there at the Battle of the Border down there in the south part of the county against Indy. Girls District standings as it sits right now, tied for first place. Lady Cougars of Dixon and the Lady Bruins of Brentwood tied for first. Ravenwood in third place. Tied for fourth right now is Franklin and Summit. Sitting in sixth place is Indy, and sitting in seventh place is Cougar Nation of Centennial looking for their first win. When we come back from the break, we're going to hit the boys' side of the WCS Sports Conference. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
My name is Caitlin, and my book is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. My favorite part was when Edward got thrown off the boat and he got found by a fisherman and his wife. I think other people would like this book because it's really good adventure and it has really good pictures.
Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection Game Day. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me is co-host Tate Mathews. We are now in the second half of our show. Tate, let's talk about the boys' side of things in the WCS Sports Conference. We're going to start with the Division II guys. Fairview right now sitting at 1-16, 0-10, and Coach King right now just has to get himself prepared to play for the tournament. The tournament coming up, we have some tough matchups for those guys. You know, I've been in his shoes before. It's not easy, but some of the best coaching that I ever did, and I say that very loosely, was going into the tournament under similar circumstances where we knew we were coming in last. We knew who we were going to play in the first round, and for the last 2 weeks, we really got ready for that game. We had a different offense that we didn't show during the games, and we really had great practices up to that point, simulating the team that we were going to play, and sure enough, we pulled the upset. So I'm hoping that Coach King is doing that, looking at that, and you never know what happens when you get into the tournament.
That's right. Go in there, give it your best shot, end on a positive note. Preferably try to stay away from Creekwood if you can. But, yeah, that's all you can do.
Well, they will stay away from Creekwood in the first round, though. Creekwood will have the bye. They're sitting in first place right now, undefeated, 90 points per game, have put up 100 points 3 times with a fourth looming, but they held the ball on them to keep them from doing it. Creekwood right now, I can't say enough about that team, the way they shoot the ball. I'm very interested to see how Creekwood plays against a West Tennessee team, a team with some athletes, to see if they can get those same shots off and make. Waverly sitting in second place right now. Another good team. Les Trotter's group's playing well. 2 losses in the district, of course, coming to Creekwood by 20-plus both times, which is very interesting. Camden sitting in third. Montgomery Central in fourth. Hickman County right now have won 5 in a row, looking for their 6th coming up. Playing pretty well, coming up the ranks there. 6th place Stewart County, 7th place East Hickman, and 8th place Fairview. So large district. First place gets that bye. Looks like they're probably going to end up playing Waverly in the first round.
That's going to be fun because they put up a lot of points too. But like you said, hey, you can put all your eggs in that basket, go out and give the best performance you can, and be, you know, if you give a great effort, you can be happy with that. And let's start getting ready for next year.
See what happens.
That's right.
So moving on, Page is sitting right now 8-13, 1-4. Probably not where Coach Ringstaff wants them to be. Lost a few in a row here. They did beat Giles County 69-64. Lost at Spring Hill 51-56. They will turn around and play Spring Hill again this week on Friday, this week Friday, excuse me. And district right now, if you were to talk about this district 10 years ago, this would be the gauntlet of basketball. We're sitting there, CPA at first, Marshall County in second. Cascade would probably be in last place in this group. Right now, sitting in third place, Page in 4, Spring Hill, and Giles in last place. If you would have told me that Giles County is going to finish last in this group ever, I would say you're crazy.
Yeah, you're right. There's been a lot of great teams there, a lot of athletic teams there. That's the thing I like about Page is obviously CPA is the clear favorite, but then good win over Giles County, and they were in that Spring Hill game. You know, only lost by 5 points. They had a chance. So, Page is a team that's right there in the middle, but they could pick off these other guys, and I think when they get to the tournament time, they could beat a Marshall County. Definitely could beat a Cascade, and who knows? You never know. CPA's by far the clear favorite, but this isn't the greatest CPA team they've ever had. So, I think they got a chance to do well in the tournament.
Well, I've had an opportunity to see Page play, and when they warm up and you look at them, you're thinking, okay, they're not the most athletic team, but they are the scrappiest team that you'll see. They rebound the ball well, they play good defense, they keep it low and ugly, kind of that fits right into their scheme of things, and I wouldn't want to get matched up with those guys in the first round.
Yeah, because like I said, it's one, and all you got to do is beat them once. So he'll have a good game plan. Ringstaff does a good job. I like what he's doing over there.
All right, moving on to the Big Six. Brentwood, Dennis King sitting right now, 21-4, 8-1 in the district. They lost to Franklin last week in a big game there, 47-60. Garrison Mathews had one of the games of his career.
He was out of his mind.
In Brentwood right now going not at 100%. They have some injuries, some nagging little things that are bothering them. You think for a second after you see that Franklin game, things are not looking up for Coach Dennis King, but then they turn around and won some huge games, blowouts by 30. They beat Brentwood Academy like a drum. For bragging rights there, Teichman lost and combined for 50 points in that game. Brentwood seems to be right back in that form where they were prior to the nagging injuries.
Without a doubt. They were really beat up a couple weeks ago. They're back healthy now, and I can't say enough about that win over Brentwood Academy. Brentwood Academy was #1 in the D2 AA region district with only one loss. And if you've seen them play, athletic, they're long, they can, as you know, cover the court. Hubie Smith, one of the great coaches in the state. A former coach in this district who's now in Rutherford County, you can probably figure that out. He was at the game. He said it was a clinic. Brentwood put on a clinic. Jalen Lawson, 30 of those 50 points, 7 3-pointers. I don't think he's underrated is probably a bad way to put it, but I hope everybody appreciates Dennis King because he's on the back end of his career. I don't know how many more years we're going to have him, but that guy, year in and year out, what he does, you're a basketball guy. He's unbelievable. That was an unbelievable win and really big for WCS as a sports conference.
Absolutely. I would dare say that they'll be looking at that schedule next year and probably looking to play somebody other than Brentwood. But, Grant Teichman and Jalen Lawson right now are arguably two of the best players in the district. I think Teichman's probably #1 in the district, if you ask me, on any given night because of his consistency, his IQ level, his athleticism, and his ability to penetrate and to stroke it better than anybody. And hopefully right now we're trying to garner some attention, get some people in here to look at these kids. I know that Mark Mathews is hot and heavy on both of those kids. Freed Hardman's looking heavily at Teichman. I think Lawson's a diamond in the rough. I think he's going to be a steal for a program to come in as a point guard that can stroke it and distribute the basketball. And you cannot question their intelligence and what Dennis King does in that program for those guys to go out. I mean, you're getting kids that you don't have to teach the basics to when they come into your program.
That's right. And then as well as they played on offense, let's talk about their defense, man. Brentwood Academy is an athletic team. They held them at 34 points. I don't know what Brentwood Academy's schedule is, but I guarantee you that's their low point total of the year.
Absolutely. And then congratulations to those. Great win for those guys. And it'd be interesting to see how we go down the stretch here. Even though they only have one loss in district, I don't foresee them with a small hiccup coming Friday against Battle of the Woods. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's going to be interesting to us for debate here in a minute. But Centennial right now sitting at 7-13, 3-6. They have lost 3 in a row, but KJ LaSure right now is playing as good as anybody in the conference. They lost a heartbreaker to Franklin by 1. Kind of played seesaw back and forth, and Franklin pulled ahead. They've battled back, got beat by 1. They're playing pretty good right now. Coach has to be happy about his team and where they have come from.
No doubt. And this was kind of like we've talked about on the girls' side. You like to use the word rebuilding, but it is. He's having to build this program up. I think he's doing a great job of it. They were a half-court heave or a long shot heave away from having a chance to beat Franklin. They're playing with a lot of football guys, just like Franklin is, so you knew they weren't going to round into basketball shape until after January. He's got them playing very good basketball. They're one that, I'm not so sure I'd want to see them in the tournament either.
Absolutely not. They're that sleeping dragon, as we like to say, that if it rears its ugly head at some point in time, you don't want to be the one standing in front of it. Centennial right now is probably the scariest team on that bottom half of the conference that I would not want to play in a one-game play, decide to survive or go home. And I think Coach right there, Coach Johnson feels really, really good about where he's sitting right now. Things are looking up for them, and it'd be interesting to see how that plays out for them. Franklin right now 11-10, 6-3. They beat Centennial in that game I talked about. They lost to Hillsboro, an extremely athletic Hillsboro team, 45-50. Like we said earlier, Garrison Mathews is playing as good as anybody in the conference right now. Going to Lipscomb, signed with Lipscomb, has truly shown why he was signed, playing extremely well, and it'd be interesting to see where Coach Wilson and them end up in the tournament. I always said they were a guard away from being really, really good.
Right. Yeah, and scored 28 points against Brentwood. That's huge, like we just mentioned. Brentwood Academy only scored 34 as a team against Brentwood. And that Franklin win over Brentwood, Garrison scored 28. Football guys, they're rounding into shape. The biggest team in the district.
Biggest team. And they also brought us the WCTV Play of the Week right here. Watch it. We'll be right back.
Again, 2-3 zone by Franklin.
Mathews stole it.
Yeah, he fought around that screen.
Page with a
Here
nice
he comes,
pass.
Crislow.
Great job all around by all 3 of those young men. Franklin leads by 4, 5:33.
once again, you see their savviness as they come down the court, distributing the ball well, very long, very athletic. Franklin going to be a juggernaut come tournament time. Indy right now sitting at 12-13, 3-5. Coach Glass, his group kind of on the downward spiral, losing 5 in a row, and then all of a sudden, boom, went into at the Battle of the South down there, the border battle at Summit, and beat Summit, Old Sparty in overtime by 1. Huge win for Coach Glass.
Huge win. The Murphy boys both over 20 points. If that happens, we've talked about it all year. If that happens and everybody plays well, they can put up huge points. They can beat anybody in this district.
Look at the backcourts we have in the conference. You got Teichman and Lawson. You've got the Murphy brothers. And now we're going to talk real quick about Summit and the Carter brothers right now, playing as good as anybody. 14-8, 3-5, lost to Indy by 1 in overtime. Play Franklin this week. Old Sparty's in that crossroads. They need to make sure they keep themselves mentally prepared to get ready for the tournament. Old Sparty's going to be tough to deal with in the next year or two to come. Ravenwood right now sitting at 10-10, 5-3 in the district, have won 2 in a row against Indy. Had a huge, great quality win over Nashville Christian over the weekend, 67-63, getting themselves ready for the Battle of the Woods come Friday.
Coach Whitlock always has a game plan and is always ready for Battle of the Woods. Book it. It's going to be a good game.
Sitting right now in first place, Brentwood sitting in first, Franklin in second, Ravenwood in third, Indy and Summit and Centennial sitting in fourth, tied for fourth, and Dixon in last. It's going to be an unbelievable turn. Let's get to our pick'ems real quick. Let's talk about the girls' side. Fairview at Lewis. Who do you have? Lewis County, he says, over Fairview. I'm going to agree with you right now. Lewis County's girls playing pretty good. Page at Cascade. He's going to go with Cascade. Page is struggling right now. Cascade kind of getting themselves, up there on the top. I think that game means a lot to them. Page better get ready for the tournament. I'm going to agree. I'm going to go Cascade with you. Brentwood versus Ravenwood, ladies.
It's the toughest one on the girls' side, but I'm going with Brentwood. Jenny Roy, Sig, Battle of the Wood.
Battle of the Woods there. This has been a tough one for me. It has been a tough one for me all week. I think Mariska Harris's group is playing extremely well. I think the freshman, what's her name? Name escapes me. Downey's playing well, but I think this environment that's going to be there at Brentwood is going to be too tough to overcome. I think Brentwood by the slightest margin. Centennial versus Indy.
Indy. Low scoring affair.
Well, they had a tough game the last one. Went that way. I think you're right. I'm going to be with you. I think the Lady Eagles get that win there. Franklin versus Summit.
The Battle of the Good Ones.
Part 2.
Coach Goodwin and the Lady Rebels get the win. They're playing well.
I agree with you 100%. I think Josh Goodwin has his team playing well, but I think that Carrie Goodwin has her team poised. Holly Harris and that group getting ready for the tournament. Going to be tough to beat. Got a minute left. Rundown. Fairview versus Lewis County boys.
Lewis County.
I think Lewis County is struggling right now. The Jackets get their first district win right there at Lewis County. Page versus Cascade.
Page.
Okay, this is going to be a tough one now. Cascade's got the step above them right now in the seedings. I'm going to agree with you. Page goes in there with that rough and tough style of play, gets one. Brentwood versus Ravenwood boys.
Brentwood, but I'm saying it right now, it goes into overtime.
Goes into overtime tough until Dennis King gets beat. I'm going with Brentwood right now. Centennial versus Indy.
Indy, the Murphy boys, they're playing well.
I think so. I think that Greg Glass's group finally got off that losing truck on the way up. Don't want to play Indy in the first round, guarantee it. Indy and Centennial both are deadly. Indy is going to be tough in that district.
Yep.
All right, then we got the Rebellion versus Old Sparty there. Summit needs a win in the worst way to try to get that tiebreaker out.
I think they get it. I like the Carter brothers. They have guard play that goes well. That was such a tough loss. I think they bounce back. I think they get Franklin.
At Franklin. I disagree. Pump the brakes on that, my friend. Garrison Mathews playing lights out right now. I think the Rebellion gets that win in that environment and makes for an interesting tournament. Can't wait to see how the tournament plays out here in the WCS Sports Conference. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Tate Mathews. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time for Game Day.